What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. Crack a beer, cozy up. We're recording this one on Sunday, July 14th, and we're back talking RIFC's narrow escape in the 305 as the Tide hung on to get all 3 points and beat Miami FC 3-2 on the road. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. If you're not already using the Club Collector app, click the link in the episode description to get on that site. Go enter the code Tide Talk, all one word, to get a free pack added to your collection today. I'm your host, Matt, and tonight I'm joined by my good friend Ryan. Ryan, I was trying to make the guild last night, but I know you do not have kids yet, and in the typical fashion of having kids and it being a nightmare day, it was a nightmare day. Sibling rivalry was in full effect, and sibling battle was in full effect, so I could not escape. But how's everything going for you, man? And how was it at the guild last night?
It's good. Having a lovely little weekend. Guild was great. I think someone mentioned earlier that they had counted about 50 people there, which is always awesome to see. There was an ice cream truck, which just always elevates any atmosphere you're in. So yeah, great job as always by Irvin, the D36 board, and everyone for coming out. It was really fun.
Awesome. Like I said, I was planning on it, and I was pretty bummed. I'm hoping maybe Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday could be my great escape to get out and watch some footy with all of you lovely people up the Tide Talk. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Just a reminder, the chat is live, so you can say hi to us, you can talk to us, ask questions in real time, and we'll do our best to get at you with that one. But a starting 11 that I think we could have predicted for this one that rolled out. It was Koke Vegas back in net for Jackson Lee. The back three again of Nodarse, Yao, and Holstad. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Turnbull, Ibarra, McGlynn, Quazera, Chico, Fuson in for Brito, which was a late change based on the socials, although the socials from the club were late anyway, so we're not fully sure what went on there, what all happened there, and JJ Williams to round out the starting 11. But I know the big moneymaker shot on this one, and the big talking point is going to be Jackson Lee dropped for Koke Vegas, and I said it on the last episode. I totally could have seen that coming. Vegas being the captain, goals were scored. It kind of seems like that's going to be the trend for this. If Lee goes out there and stands on his head and has 8 saves and pitches a shutout, he's gonna keep his spot. But if he goes out there and he gives up goals, I think Vegas slides back into the starting 11.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he's always going to favor Koke. I mean, he literally built this team around Koke, and Koke was a part of that grand vision to start. So I think at any point that Lee might have had even a wobbly performance, he might do it. Again, not surprising. I don't think Lee has played well. He's played very fine, but I don't think he had been spectacular at all. He only had made 2 saves in the past couple matches, so I don't think it was anything phenomenal that he did to keep his spot. So
it was that big 8 save sexy game that he had. That was the thing that got the people talking, though. That was it. So we'll actually kick it off tonight with a video of a Koke save, and he kept us in it pretty early with this one.
Lopez, nice move by Frank, looking for some delivery. Cabral takes a shot. Koke Vegas with a big save.
So Frankie Lopez, who we'll talk about a little bit later as we go, and cut one back, and it was kind of lazy defending. Turnbull a little bit late to get back on that one, but Koke did make a nice diving save to get going there, and he was fine. Like he did all right. He had, I believe it was 2 diving saves on the night. But I think we're going to see him going forward, and the only time we're going to see him come out is from an injury or from a suspension.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he saved 3 saves. I think you mentioned 2 of them were diving, only 5 shots on target. So 60% save rate there. I mean, Lee, the past couple of games, he was 1 of 1 against El Paso. I mean, I think I could have been the keeper against El Paso with how little they did, but he was 1 of 4 against Indy. Again, I don't think any of those were really his fault, but that's what a goalkeeper is going to get judged on. The thing I thought was really interesting, though, is I think one thing that people had talked a lot about with the Lee versus Koke debate was Koke seems to be a player who wants to play a lot shorter passes really quick. And we actually seem to keep the kind of same style of let's kick it long and let's try to get it up to JJ. Koke, 41 of his passes were long, I think it was, or probably more than that. So we definitely kept that same style, which is really interesting to see coach sticking to his guns there.
Yeah, so I mean, this was an interesting one when you look at stats versus the eye test because let's start with the first 10 minutes in general. The first 10 minutes, we were completely dominated. We were,
Oh, it's awful.
we could not get a foot on the ball. We were not able to string together more than 2 passes at any stretch of the moment, but we were just absolutely dominated. And we kind of figured, yeah, we're gonna want to sit back a little bit and look to counter. But I think we showed this team, which was not a very good team in my opinion. Scrappy, I'll give them that, but I think we showed them too much respect early on, and we gave them way too much of the ball and kind of let that linger, and that created some problems for us early on in this one.
Yeah, we also were just like really sloppy. They literally come down right off the goal kick, and Nodarse commits just a super sloppy foul in the corner, literally 15 seconds into the match. And I think that just set the tone for kind of what we saw, especially in that first 10 minutes there.
Yeah, Tim, always good to see in the chat, says Koke wasn't the problem. That said, I won't be disappointed if Lee is in goal on Wednesday. I don't think we're seeing a change after this one, unfortunately, with that. But it didn't take long, despite that poor play in the first 10 minutes, before we were able to get on the board as Frank Nodarse kept his goal streak going in the 11th minute. And actually, before we even switch and get off Koke, we're also worth noting Koke's first win with us. Koke's
I had
first
that written
win.
down, yeah.
Right, Koke's first win in net, so that is a pretty monumental moment for captain. He's got his banner in the Defiance 36, and now he's got his first win with the club. So kudos to you, Captain Koke, for that one. But in the 11th minute, after, like I said, pretty much being dominated for those first 10 or so, Frank Nodarse heads one home off a sweet delivery. I think Marky Barra just has the innate ability to pick out Nodarse's forehead on set pieces, and it's paying dividends. So let's take a look at that.
Are you going to go?
We shall see.
All right. All right. Ibarra here. Guizera to the middle of the box, and that's a great goal that's going to be scored. And right out of the gate, too, Rhode Island. Nodarse company jumping around in the 11th minute. 1-0 Rhode Island.
So I will say, first off, just an absolute sweet delivery from Marky Barra. And Marky Barra is just playing unbelievable right now. Since Panayiotou went back to up the road, his delivery on these set pieces has just gotten better and better. And he's finding people, and I think that's a big part of why Frank and some other people are getting on the score sheet. But if you go back and watch that, Frank's the only one that jumps. He's the only player on either team that attacks that ball. So his aggressiveness, his dive at it, is what really put that one home for him and able to get him essentially a free header and a free powerful header on target.
Yeah, I mean, we really won this game because of what we did in like the 6-yard box, especially like in the air this whole match. But yeah, it really starts with the Nodarse. He had a really weird like 11 minutes. Like he has that awful foul to start the game. He kicks
Terrible
through the
yellow
guy.
card.
Yeah, kicks through the guy. Maybe he had a little like Cuban food. He got a little excited down in Miami. Came out a little hot, but then amazing header by him. I thought it was really interesting because we talked a bit about this earlier on, and I was a little bit harsh on Nodarse because we were really targeting him a lot on corners to start the season, but he just wasn't getting any kind of clean contact, any kind of power behind his headers. And it seems like he's worked really hard on that the past, month or so. And I think his rise on the defensive end is also really, we've seen a lot of rise on the offensive end too. So definitely a player who we've seen a ton of progress so far. And it's awesome to see.
Like Tyler says in the chat, we have so many guys that are 6 foot plus. So it's nice to see them getting off on set pieces lately. That was something I when I first started this and was doing this solo, I kept saying, I think we're going to be good on set pieces, and we just weren't converting it. So it's good to see.
And we were awful against set pieces. So.
Right. So we're flipping that. We're attacking that. And I think that with Frank Nodarse particularly, if you go back and look at this one, it's the technique of it is much different than we saw earlier on. We would see players jump vertically and try to attack that. He jumped like on an angle and like really attacked it and got a lot of power on this one. So I assume that's going to be coaching. I assume that's going to be down to tactics. Somebody got behind him and put it in. So kudos to whoever that was. But he's made an adjustment at the way he's attacking these set pieces, and that's leading to goals, which is pretty unbelievable. And it's almost like having a special teams play that you can dial up and kick it in. So it's perfect. I definitely like to see that. After the goal, pretty much back to Miami getting on the ball. getting some good chances. I believe they had a crossbar in there, but it was very lackadaisical defending, and I think a lot of that was essentially due to us not really having a midfield and that getting bypassed. And to sound like a broken record and say it every time it happens, it's when Clay Holstead is at right center back, and it's not his position. I know it's a square peg round hole type thing, but every time he's back there, our midfield struggles with gaining traction. And I was shocked. I think at halftime for this one, it was, let's see, let me pull it up here. It was about 54% for Miami on possession, and it I would have thought it was in the mid 60s based on how much they had the ball and how much they had the ball in our half. So Mr. Field Tilt, the field certainly seemed tilted in Miami's favor throughout the first half in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have it by half. We actually, I think it was almost literally 50-50 on field tilt for the game. But yeah, we really just didn't have a lot of the things that we usually see from the team. Our press was like really both lackadaisical and just like wasn't effective at all. They had 31 passes per defensive action on us, which is like we usually are in like a 12. So like almost 3 times worse than we normally are. We just seemed a little slow to get over, and then we'd be almost like too aggressive through it. Just really turned off the whole first half, which was unfortunate to see. And then on the offensive end, it didn't seem like we could really string together kind of a bit of momentum to get us going. Besides the kind of free kicks that we had.
No, right on. Matt Hand said should have been McGlynn instead of Clay in defense. We just haven't seen that. I understand the sentiment there. I also understand Stoneman was going to come in and play, and maybe he's not ready for the full 90. But starting a defender in a defender spot, and then maybe transitioning back to Clay to kind of end it if you're going to do that. But we're just always going to go back to that. Every time Clay plays right center back, I think we're going to have this discussion, and we're going to see it kind of affect other areas further up the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things there. One, I actually thought McGlynn had a really tough one. I think at halftime I saw he had like 15 touches, which is just like wild when I think for the game I had it written down somewhere that Connor only had 23 touches compared to Ibarra, who had 44, and he only played 10 extra minutes than him. So just really tough match for him. And then Clay, it just doesn't work as well back there. It just takes out such a presence from midfield, and also it just like he looks like a midfielder playing center back when he plays center back. He had a really tough defensive game here. I think he was put in a bad spot a couple times by his teammates, but just had a lot of really sloppy tackles that almost cost us a couple times.
Yeah, like I said, the rest of this half it was very much more of the same, and up until we were able to get a 2-0 lead right before the break, with Chico scoring in the 45th +5 of stoppage time. So let's take a look at that video and take a look at Chico's goal that gave us double the lead.
Has hurt Miami FC throughout the years, not only the set pieces, but the size against their back line. Trimble, airlifted ball, Felipe Rodriguez gets taken out, and he gets stung by it again. No whistle, no call on the play against Rhode Island, and they cash in anyway.
So this was an interesting one. It was a beautiful ball in by Turnbull, really nicely placed in ball. Yao goes up and challenges for that ball. I know some people are of the mindset that it was a foul on Yao. Yao never made contact with the keeper on this one, and it popped out.
Keeper put him in a headlock.
Right. Yao actually did get a touch with his head on this one, and actually gets credit for the assist because of that. And Chico able to hammer it home, just a poacher's goal, right spot, right time, and clinical finish.
Yeah, absolutely. That was extremely clutch to get a second goal before halftime. A classic like rip up the team talk and redo it. But you'll be happy to do that. We, like I mentioned, we're not very good in this first half, not very convincing. I think I had it at 42% possession in that first half. So great to see the team push through and get that second one. Good on Yao to get up there, just go straight up so that there's no controversy. Like he's allowed to own that airspace.
Sure.
Also great scouting by the team to understand that this goalkeeper was my height. Because he was brutal on these crosses in the box all night, and we score basically all of our goals because of it. So
it was also interesting to see that they had Rodriguez Frankie guarding Nodarse and marking him on these set pieces, and he was up to I think right below his nipples
Yeah.
to give it a good
I feel like
play
we see that
comparison.
so much in professional soccer, and I genuinely don't understand it. Because like when I was growing up, it was like whoever the tall people are, mark the tall people,
Sure,
and that like
sure.
doesn't happen in like the Premier League, RIFC, any of this.
Right. But fortunate to get to halftime up 2-0 for
Yes.
me for this one. Any other big moments you wanted to talk about from that first half?
No, not really. I do think one thing that was interesting. So while Lopez was insanely marking Nodarse on corners, I think he gave him fits. I actually think we swapped Clay and Nodarse midway through the first half because of how much of like trouble Lopez was giving Nodarse, especially once he was on a yellow. So that guy
Just from a mental aspect of it and like getting
mental
in a
and just
guy's
like
head.
it was just I think just a really bad matchup for Nodarse. Nodarse is very long, very kind of
Sure.
gangly, whereas Lopez definitely is a guy who can get under his skin and play. So it looked like that classic guy who just strolls into five-a-side and just like is the biggest pain in the ass, just like dictating, doing flips and tricks. And yeah, so good on him.
I get that. To put a pin in the first half, like you said, 58% for Miami to 42 for Rhode Island. We were actually outshot 9-2. Only 3 shots on target for Miami to our 2. We had the one big chance. They completed 178 passes at an 89% clip to just our 123 at 84. Miami committed 9 fouls. We committed 6 and out cornered us 5-1. So, stats kind of I thought made this look a little bit closer than it
Mhm.
felt watching this one. But eye test for me was like we were really, really fortunate to be up 2-0 at the half.
I mean, how often this season has it been we've gotten 100 shots and we scored none of them, whereas this one it's 2 shots, 2 goals, and that's it. That's like all we did all match in the
Right,
first
right.
half.
So halftime comes, and shortly after, 3 minutes after to be exact, Chico gets back on and finishes his brace in the 48th minute to give us a 3-0 lead. So let's take a look at that.
In the sweet time. Now played in, and Fuson here. J.J. Williams trying to swim around, and he does. Ball goes to the back post. Tic-tac-toe passing, and there's your insurance marker for Rhode Island. Albert Dequa, the final nail in the coffin. Rhode Island 3, Miami nothing.
Nice little dance to go with it for Albert Dequa.
I love the extended highlight of the dance clip on there, but beautiful one-touch passing, tiki-taka passing to lead up to that one between JJ, Noah, and then Quizera, who puts in a beautiful ball. And again, Chico is the definition of a poacher. He's a fox in the box. You put that ball near the goal and near him, and he will convert it. And ultimate credit will go to Chico for getting the goal on this one, but Quizera, just a beautiful ball. And then that 1-2 link up between Fuson and JJ leading up to that, I thought was just beautiful. Maybe one of the best worked goals we've had all season.
Yeah, I mean, this was funny. It almost felt like an American football when you try to score right before halftime, then you receive the ball back again, then you try to score one more time to like double up on somebody. I love that we did that play in a soccer game. That was A+ stuff by coach. But yeah, I mean that's really what won us this match was getting those 2 quick goals. I think this was goal of the night. I think, like you said, one of the better goals of the season. This was, I actually think too, like someone you didn't mention, unbelievable hold up play by JJ.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that we can talk about this in a bit. But once he came off, we were like really, really missed that from him. And then I think we found throughout this game, like when Noah dipped into that like left half space, he was much more effective, especially linking up with Quizera. There was like multiple opportunities that the 2 of them made for each other. So just overall, great work by everyone there. I know that a lot of us a couple of weeks ago, especially when Chico was struggling, we went back and looked at what did the goals look like for this Golden Boot season last year, and some people were a little bit down on it because they're these kind of scrappy goals in the box are usually against the lower teams, especially like a lot of braces against these lower teams. But the nice thing about these braces against these teams is like those are 3 points either way. Those win matches, and I will take that for the rest of the season if we want to just continue to accumulate points. I think this is a great tactic to do so.
Definitely agree with you there. And I think a lot of that too lately is just him and JJ kind of understanding who takes up what space and how they can link up and how they can play together. Because like you mentioned, it was JJ's hold up that led to the nice one-touch passing to Noah, to Quizera, and then just a beautiful ball in.
Yeah, and we talked for a long time, like on the show, especially when we weren't
Or
scoring goals.
Fuson as Scott
Fuson.
as us because ESPN still can't get that right. I'm sorry.
It's nuts. It's so insane. But we talked a ton about like, will this offense ever click? And we always kept saying it's a chemistry thing. It's a chemistry thing. Like it's the hardest thing to build of all the different dynamics of this team. So I do think we are seeing a bit of people finding their roles, figuring out how to play off each other. I do also think we adjusted tactically slightly this game to get more people around JJ to try to win those second balls. So overall, team is doing well, adjusting, learning about each other, but then also forming the tactics around these pieces they have.
No, for sure. That's really well said. Tyler wants to know if we can talk about the ads during the match.
Yeah, I was insane.
My goodness, it was like watching like the PGA Tour and like
Yes.
I think they call it playing through when they do like full commercials and the game's actually on in the little screen. Like I've never seen this before during a football match, a soccer match, however you want to call it. I've never seen it. The first time I was like, "What?" And then it
Well, when
happened
the Audi
multiple more times, and I was like, What is happening here?"
Well, when they started the game with that massive Audi, like it shoved everything in the corner. I was like, wait, is the entire match going to be like
Right,
this? Like I
right.
was genuinely concerned.
I want to say there was at least 2 or 3 each half.
Mhm.
Like it was far too many. I mean, no one's there at the match watching it. We can talk about Miami's attendance that I think they claimed was 1,400,
No
but
way.
I, I know we couldn't see one stand, but there were like 6 people in this 3 stands that you could
And
see.
3 of them
So
were RIFC fans as far as we could
right,
tell.
right.
Yeah,
I'd
there
love
was
to see.
literally someone said it earlier. There was more people at the Guild last night than in Miami.
Right. I'd love to see what percentage were actually RIFC fans based on those 3 people, but it was just absolutely insane. Tyler says Poverty Club Miami. Uh, Evan says it felt
Unfortunately, I
like
think
a
it might
baseball
actually be
game.
the USL, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we actually had a chat about this, as the game was going on, and about how this is a reason the USL needs to implement promotion relegation. And somebody said, wouldn't that just like make Miami fold essentially? So I did a little bit of research and I looked at Vermont Green being up here near us. Their average attendance last season was 2,200. Miami's average attendance last season was 1,400. So you look at a championship club versus League Two club, and you see there's a big gap. So I think a lot of that might just be the Messi effect, and Messi being an MLS. So who the fuck wants to go watch Miami FC? But it
At the
just
same
seems
time,
like
it's like the Messi tickets are like $800 each. Like you figure there's this other tier of fan that would want to go to that. They're also like the Copa America final is in Miami tonight. How did they not get anyone from that's in town for that to come to watch the game? So I don't know.
right, just like a residual soccer fan
Yeah.
to go watch a
Like
match.
I'll pay $10 to go watch these random two teams play. Why not?
Right, it's just I don't know. And Matt says the presence of another team, Miami, is killing it, but
It's definitely not helping, to be clear.
there it was Florida International. That's where they
Mhm.
play the match, right? Like beautiful stadium setup. Like why not? Like why not go there? Like it looks like it. I don't know what the exact capacity on it, but it would fit quite a bit. But it's very, very interesting there. And as Tyler adds, Miami FC began play before Inter Miami. They were announced after Inter had already been announced, though, which is an interesting strategy. So, just weird how it all plays off.
I think it was during the time where like a ton of money was flowing to Miami via like crypto and all this shit. So
Sure.
I wonder if it was just like a billionaire just not caring.
Maybe it was just somebody trying to piggyback on the fact that David Beckham was bringing a team. So why
Yeah.
don't I bring a team too? And we'll get, like you mentioned, get those.
I think it
residual
could
fan
work. I
points
just
in there.
I don't know enough about Miami FC. There wasn't even a way end episode because there wasn't a fan to talk to. So like I would love to
Right,
know like
right.
what is the team doing to try to resolve these issues. But I also think I read something in the Discord or somewhere that like their owner doesn't really give a shit about this. So
Well, I was watching it with Zach, and he was like, "Hey, where's their band?" And I'm like, "They don't have one, buddy. And like, they don't have like a Defiance 36. They don't have a supporters club. Like,
what a spoiled life Zach has lived so
yeah." I
far.
was like, I said, "You see all those empty seats? Like, that's it. Like, So we could have probably gotten down there, gotten in like that. I don't know. It was pretty sad state. And another one, Tyler adds, their logo is generic as it gets. I feel like that's something I can make in
Guys,
Canva
stop.
in a matter of like
He's
5
already dead.
minutes, but
Stop.
yeah, he's dead. Well, let's pull it out. So getting back to the action on this one, it was that guy Frankie in the 62nd that made it 3-1. Cut into our lead. And it was tough because after the 3-0, it was like you could kind of see the the foot come off the accelerator a little bit, in my opinion. I thought we were very lackadaisical, even getting back on defense. I do think this was a very well struck ball by Frankie there, but other than that, I think this was a very much of a letdown going forward. So let's take a look at the goal that made it 3-1 in the 62nd.
There's a lot of familiarity.
And granted, player that's been plagued with injury this season.
Lopez likes to take it himself. Frankie Lopez finds the back of the net. One might say he's due, and Frankie Lopez wants a lot.
So hell of a hit. I think it took a deflection too, and just put some crazy spin that kind of spun it over the top into that left corner there. But nobody closed him down. Nobody got up on him and pressured it. And you know, it's one of those goals where the way it was hit and the deflection added on, you probably can't do much about it. But if you're closing down at full speed, I think that's one that the shot might not even get off.
Yeah, I actually thought we came out in the second half and were much better. We definitely had a lot more possession until like that 65-minute mark, basically like right after this goal. Like you mentioned, I think we took our foot off the gas, but I wasn't like too concerned about this one. There was a wall of guys in front of the shooter. He's outside the box. It's definitely like a shot I would be very comfortable with the team. It just takes a crazy deflection. It's all that spin to come up and then back down over Koke. So this one I think was just a bit of bad luck, really.
Bit of bad luck, like you said, the deflection, the spin. I think it made it all kind of ugly. That was in the 62nd, but 68th. I'm sorry, but right before that was a massive wave of subs, and this played a big role into how we looked kind of for the end of that. You saw No Darce come out in the 61st, which I was very much okay with, being on a yellow, being on a short week. We couldn't afford to get him or anyone else a red and not be at full strength. I think Birmingham's going to be a tough game. And if you're watching now, just a reminder, about an hour and a half from now, we got the away end going, 9:00 p.m. So tune back in. But Frank was on the yellow. He came off in the 61st first with Connor McGlynn. After that was probably even the bigger changes as JJ and Ibarra came out at the same time, and Quizera later in the 85th. But the substitutions for this one and kind of who came in for who really messed with this team, the structure and the function. And I know you wanted to really hammer home some points on that one.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the first two subs. Those are very like for like. I thought that was good. Get some fresh legs back there. Take No Darce off on a yellow. All of that was fine. I don't think that really impacted much. To me, the problem was the 70th minute sub. So number one, you take off JJ. And I think this is more of an issue with like our team structure and like the team building, because JJ has become such a focal point to the way we play. Those long balls out, he is the release valve that we have on this team. And there's just no one who can come close to doing what he does. I think Chico in the beginning of the season was trying to mimic it a bit, but I really think something to look into this offseason, especially since JJ's still going to be here and we'll still want to play this style, is to look at another big fella to bring off the bench who can at least mimic a bit of that tactic. So I think losing JJ, he can't play every single minute of every single game. So we have to figure out some kind of alternative route if he's not going to be in there. And then one of the issues too is, I think one thing I've talked about a lot is Kano, I think has made subs that seem to destabilize the team. The changes that were made in the 70th really kind of bothered me, because all of a sudden you have a midfield three of Brito, Harivao, and Noah, which is like incredibly lightweight for a team that's trying to defend a lead. And this is one of the issues when he's mapping out his first 11 and he has McGlynn, Ibarra in the midfield, and then Clay at the back. That only really gives you Harivao as like someone who's kind of more of that defensive, someone who can play in a defensive-ish midfield role, who can get in there, maybe win a tackle. When all of your subs and all your opportunities really are, Brito, Noah, kind of more of those attacking midfielders in there. Really, really tough. So I would like to see Kano, like as the season progresses, thinking through his game plan in terms of not just that starting 11, but who are those 11 plus the 5 subs, and how do they all work off each other? Because we were missing a bit there.
Right. And how do they work off each other, and who can replace who and not drop off the performance to a big level? And Tyler said it. Ryan, I think you said before, when we make subs, it feels like we move other guys around to new positions and roles, and it always leads to chaos. And it certainly did here, as 7 minutes after the full scale of all those subs went through, Miami gets back on the goal. In the goal, and we go from being up 3-0 to all of a sudden it's a 3-2 game. And this was another decent goal from them, but again, I think a little bit lackadaisical defending. So let's take a look at that.
Gavilanes grabs the corner, places it softly through, back post, it's 3-2! Great play by Gavilanes, and Molina wipes himself and Miami off.
So on that one, Quazera was caught out. Clay was nowhere near in an area to support that. And I think he had sorry, it wasn't Clay. That was Nodarse on that side, I believe, at that point.
Stoneman.
Oh, Stoneman was in. You're correct. He was nowhere near in the area to provide support. And then Turnbull's weak side run was extremely late too. So you had some tired legs out there. You had some guys in positions not usually in. And like Tyler mentioned, like you've said, chaos just ensued because of where we were formationally.
Yeah, and I think this was another thing that's interesting about that 70-ish minute wave of subs is that neither of the wingbacks were part of that. And Kano actually has been subbing out the wingbacks either as a pair or at least one of them in that 70 to 80 minute mark. And you would have thought on a night where like it's really hot down there, we're taking hydration breaks, that those are kind of the two positions where they're just running up and down the touchline all match. So yeah, and you see them both get burnt for pace, which they're both very athletic, very quick. So not something you see often. So I was really shocked he waited so long to make a wingback sub, especially with Molina, the goal scorer. He's fresh. He just came off the bench recently. So it would have been probably helpful to get like Colin Smith on for Turnbull, maybe to give him that, fresh legs against fresh legs down the wing.
No, sure. Turnbull was way late on that one. I think people in the chat saying, look at Clay. It was actually Turnbull that was even further behind. And that made that.
I mean, it's Turnbull's man. It's the winger,
Right. And Matt Hand says Koke was guarding his near post too closely there. I wonder if that's because they tried to catch him out at that near post in the first half. And we did see that. So, maybe that was, and, maybe they were on that break and you expect the guy to take that first time shot. But I won't fault Koke at all on this one.
No, I mean, once a guy gets to the touchline, you have to show the respect to like cover that near post. So I think it's really just the defense letting a guy run through on the back post. It's just, classic defending.
Sure. But luckily enough, it was a little too late, as we were able to see out the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so at stoppage time, and get the 3-2 victory in this one. Final stats, our second half stats, a little bit closer on possession. Miami had 53%, 47 for Rhode Island. We were outshot again, 7-5. They had 2 on target. We had 2 on target as well. One big chance for each team. 163 passes at an 80% clip for Miami to 137 at 77 clip for Rhode Island. So it was a sloppy second half. Neither team was really able to string together much. Just the 2 goals for Miami and 1 for us. But 5 fouls committed from Miami to 6 for us. But we had 4 corners to their none. So it would have been better to see if we could have, attacked one of those corners and gotten back in it. But like Tyler says in the chat right here, we can't be letting a team back in the game. You lead 3-0, especially a last place team, but 3 points on the road is all that matters. So good we were able to see it out. I know a lot of people were probably having flashbacks during this one and white knuckled, and it got a little too close for comfort. I think our foot came off the gas, and then, like you mentioned very well, that tactically and substitutionally, I think that was kind of forced because of what we saw come in and who we saw come out.
Yeah, and I think it's going to just be a continued issue, especially throughout the summer when it's going to be hot most of these places, including Rhode Island where we're playing. So just hope we can really try to figure out a bit of better game management. I just would love to see more control from this team, especially when we're winning, being able to string passes together, go back to, possession FC when we need to, because I think while this counterattacking style has worked really well on chance creation and like offensive ends of things, it is allowing the other team to dictate a lot of the play. And, when they're already going to be wanting a lot more of the ball because they're chasing, it's only just going to make the pressure build. That's going to also make you more tired. So, just hope that we can find ways to minimize the squeaky bum time, as they say.
Yeah, I hear it. I like it. Let's hit to the socials. We'll start on Instagram with RIFC and 3. Evan at Terminator0725 says a pathetic win. I get it.
No such
Win's a win, though. Win's a win. We'll take it. Chris Merritt has lucky to escape, and it was an escape. You have to. I don't think you can kind of phrase it anywhere, any other form on that one. Matt Hands wins a win, and big shout out to Matt who put out the first Tide Talk blog this week with his preview, and he had a lot of really good takes. Talked about Frankie being a problem, and it was totally right. So make sure if you haven't already, go to tidetalkri.com and check out Matt's blog. It's really well done, really well written. Can't wait to see what he puts out next. On Instagram, also from the RIFC and 3, we had Brian Luch, 2 different halves, and I don't know. I think they were actually 2 very similar halves. I just think it wasn't as. I think the scoreline flattered us for this one, and
yeah, you know it's funny. I actually think we play a lot better in the first half of the second half. I think we were a lot better.
First half of
like the first 20 minutes of the. No, I actually think that was our best pocket of play in this match. But yeah, that's interesting. I think it was almost like a game of quarters, really.
All right, I'll give you that one. Heading to the Discord, Tyler says must be better for his 3 words. And we'll also roll in some good, bad, and ugly on this one. His good was the scoring. His bad was giving up too many quality looks. And ugly was dangerous giveaways. Leo O, good, making the most of scoring opportunities. 3 of 4 from shots on goal and keeping goals flowing. Chico's increased involvement throughout and hustle in the closing minutes. Chico was really good in this one. So definitely want to give him full credit and make sure we kind of talk about the performance that he put in, because we've been harsh on him for not contributing. He played the full 90. He got an 8.7 on Fought Mob, 2 shots, 2 goals, completed 9 out of 12 passes, 28 total touches, 4 in the opposite box, 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 pass into the final third, was dispossessed twice, had a clearance, 2 defensive actions, 1 recovery, 4 duels won, and was fouled 3 times. So he put in a good shift. He was tracking back defensively. He, one of his better performances that we've seen so far this season. Heading back to the socials for that one. Fluffy Cohog Boy, our guy Kevin, said RIFC in 3. Leo O is right. So he harped on everything that Leo added on that one. So he kind of bitched out. And then Leo's 3 words was matched Miami's intensity. So I read this one a few times and I didn't know how to tackle it, because I think we've seen this RIFC team, play up to opponents on so many occasions. Was this another case of playing down, or was this just a tough night in the office? I struggled with this one like internally today and trying to figure out how do we tackle that one.
Yeah, I mean, we were just sloppy as shit. So like it might have really been playing down to the opponents. Like, if you saw in the prediction channel on the Discord, if you heard the way any person talked about this match, it was as if we were just gonna show up, tie our shoes, and win the game. Like that was it. Right. So I definitely think there was. I don't want to say the players like took the foot off the gas or didn't play well. Like they're professionals; they want to win every game, but
they get paid too.
They get paid too. So but at the same time, like it was just so much sloppier than we haven't seen that level of sloppiness in a long time. So.
No, right on. Andrew Quadros says, just want to see if Chico can put in this kind of shift against a decent team. We're going to see a really decent team on Wednesday in Birmingham, so hopefully we can see it. Nate says, hope you enjoy the new logo chain.
Thank you,
Nate, as soon as Ryan got it, he sent me a picture, so we appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you. But kind of boiling back to it, Matt Hand says, a win is a win. Even the best teams don't always dominate the worst teams. So tough night, hot night. So, we can chalk it up to that, I guess. I
was gonna say I had 2 3-word reviews. One was the streak continues, 5 games unbeaten. That's all that matters. We're accumulating points. We are in the playoff picture. That is all that matters. My other one was great for neutral to make it 3. Sure. We have to be the best ticket ESPN Plus that can buy right now. Every single one of our games.
If you want to buy an Audi, that is
fair. But yeah, but like Indy 11, we're talking before the match. Basically, like, both teams don't score. Both teams don't give up goals. 3-3 fucking thriller. We got this one where like Miami FC, they score goals, but they like can't defend. It's just like fireworks again for us. So just we are so good for whoever is broadcasting us at this point. I mean, CBS must be licking their lips for the Detroit game coming up.
No, absolutely.
Live, national television. It's going to be just people. If anyone wants to say soccer is boring, wait till RIFC comes into town. I'll say that much.
Although, like Andrew says, except for all those 0-0.
That was past. That was old us. It doesn't matter.
But lately we've been box office.
Yeah,
We certainly have. Heading back to the socials, Darren Boomister says, good, opportunistic. We didn't have a lot of chances, but we converted, doing well on them. Bad midfield play. We let them have too much of the ball in our end and didn't give enough service to our goal scorers. Ugly, the Miami crowd. We talked about that a little bit earlier, and he added, it must suck to be a Miami FC supporter. Raphael says the good 3 points are 3 points. That's kind of been an underlying tone in the chat on this one. The bad, Kano needs to utilize wingbacks more often to help with the counterattacks. Maybe the team isn't skilled enough. As much as I like JJ, he needs to move more and get open more often. I'll push back a little on that last one.
Push back on all of it.
Yeah, I think he's a big linchpin of what we're doing now. I think he is the hold-up play, and I think Quazera is seeing a big uptick in form because of what JJ provides with the hold-up play.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things that's actually really helped us is we've relied less on the wingbacks, because before it was literally the wingbacks were the only tactic. It was just get it out to them and cross it in. So yeah, I think, and JJ, I think I keep saying, I think he's really like I know we talk about Ibarra as the unsung hero. I think JJ is like doing so much, and while it isn't showing up in like assists and in goals, like he's out there having like 20 duels a game, which is just immense. It's insane, and he's winning at least half of them usually. So I think what he's done he literally is the tactic right now that's like gotten us to this place. As I mentioned, we don't have another him on the bench, which is like kind of killing us. So yeah, I have to give him like a ton of credit.
He is the key that is unlocking everything we do. And it, like
we literally,
said,
I mentioned earlier, we
stems from
literally
the hold up. It stems from those challenges. Like he throws himself at everything, and that's not Chico's game. It's not Doyle's game. So having him out there is, what does it for us.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier like a strategic shift that we've made a bit in this game. John Mercy, USL Tactics on Twitter, I mentioned him a few times. He has great threads on these games, and he really highlighted the fact that we were kind of hunting as a pack. So one of the things I had mentioned that was frustrating was we were going along to JJ, but there was no one really there to clean up that second ball. In this game, it was very clear that anytime the ball went along to JJ, there was our entire midfield basically circled JJ so that we could win that positional battle and move from there. So it's not even just like our main focal point as a player, it's our main focal point as a tactic. And I think it's great.
No, right on. Andrew says the change in form started shortly after he became fully fit, and says he is absolutely key to this. Andrew,
I mean, he was one of our biggest signings, so like it's not shocking to be like,
and
hey,
he was
one
signed,
of your best players.
He was signed before Chico,
Yeah.
so I think the team was kind of envisioned to be built around him, and then Chico was just like, hey, we can get this guy too, like we got to get him.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, like, looking back at a lot of, especially the beginning of the season, where we had a lot of gripes about a lot of stuff, a lot of it actually kind of ended up being like we just weren't healthy. Like we were missing a lot of key players. We're still missing some of the players that I'm assuming were very key in Kano's like vision of this team, like Amos. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting as we get healthy. Obviously, you're never 100% fit as a team. It's always gonna be a constant battle. But yeah, we had some like long-term absences from some very key players. So yeah, more to come. More to come.
Yeah, absolutely, right on. Back to the Discord. Taris adds, good, we scored 3 goals. Bad, we let in 2 second-half goals. Ugly, full effort didn't seem there. Could have been the heat. And his 3-word was 3 more points. And, kind of getting back, that was the arching theme in the chat as well. Ryan, do you have a good, bad, and the ugly?
I actually don't.
Oh, all right, cool. Heading into that from us, we had Scott, our guy Mouse. Good, finally some consistent product in the final third. Bad, same old defensive mistakes costing cards and goals. So discipline did start to become an issue near the end of this one. And I think we were all kind of hoping for some subs to get done. We saw some of it, not all of it, but good to know we'll be at full strength for Wednesday for the Birmingham match. Ugly, our passing accuracy felt awful. Lots of interceptions that went to dangerous situations. I think it was the Quazera giveaway that led to the really good Koke save early on in that one.
Well, the craziest one too was Ibarra, like a no-look pass that that led to that that Clay foul that was like right on the edge of the area. I rewound that 4 times because I was like, there's no way that out of all the people, Mark Ibarra, like Mr. Consistent, Mr. like fundamental.
Try to get a little fancy.
Oh my God.
We had Evan also adding good dequad brace, bad offense in the first half besides 5 minutes. Ugly. Zach is cursed. Tried so hard to blow a 3-0 lead. Long ball defending. Koke isn't my goalkeeper going forward. So Ugly, very reactionary, very tough on that one. There's a lot to break down, but
Sorry, what was that about Koke?
Isn't my goalkeeper going forward. Koke did nothing wrong on this one. None of the goals were on him. He made 2 really good diving saves that we mentioned earlier. Showed one of them, so interesting there. Kevin adds good 3 points on the road. Bad defensive mistakes. Ugly, stupid cards, especially Koke. Koke did pick up one for time wasting late on, but he was arguing that someone was needing attention upfield, it seemed, but nothing happened there. Andrew Quadros, good, take care of business and got the win. Bad, nearly blew a comfortable lead. Ugly, the attendance was abhorrent. What an awful look for USL. And we kind of touched about that a little bit on. But Scott wants you to go on and destroy his commentary with stats. What was our pass accuracy?
That's why I'm laughing.
I do know in the second half it was 77%. I believe it was 82 or 83% in the first half. So it did decline as the game went on.
Yeah, but we were above average for the season. I literally, Scott, I didn't even look at this because I thought it was horrible too. We were above average accurate passing. We also were like unbelievably better in the final third than we usually are. We were like 75% in the final third. We're usually like 50% there. Shit. Yeah, I literally didn't even look at it because I thought it was awful too. So I think the reason why I felt so bad though is I think we just like never got momentum. Like we might string together a few passes, but they were really just breaking up our play. Like the difference between their tackles and ours, yeah, we had 7 tackles for the entire match. We usually lead the league in tackles. They had 20. So like they really disrupted us a ton, and we just couldn't stop them from stringing passes together.
And we saw that physical, caliber get under Nodarse's skin a little bit, and maybe something that got under players because there was a lot of hard tackles. JJ got carded for kind of his reaction after a tackle, and there was a lot of extra that went into things. It seemed it was a physical game, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing too with us is like we turn the ball over, not necessarily with passes, but it was like basically the action right after a pass. We only won 43% of ground duels. We usually do pretty well there. 43% of aerial duels. We usually like are one of the better teams in the league there. And then we only completed 47% of our dribbles, which I think we saw a lot of us getting caught up on a dribble. They completed 88% of dribbles. So I think there was a lot of just like a lot of things that probably weren't necessarily called out as like a bad pass, but it led to like the literally next action that the play got disrupted. So again, Scott, I genuinely didn't expect that to be the case. So
Scott added, I've never given an eye test take on Tide Talk without Ryan proving that I know nothing about football. So
the best thing is you could have not provoked that and I would have never said anything. So this is on you.
The best response to that comes from Andrew Quadros, and I know you like finally got to spend some time talk with Andrew at the guild. Read the rules of FODMOB before giving your uneducated take, Scott. That one just made me laugh. A lot of backstory to that one going forward, but 3-2 wins a win on the road. That's what we gotta do. 5 unbeaten. We're trending in the right direction. We're knocking on the playoffs door. I think after the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think we're gonna solidify ourselves in that spot, and we'll be good to go there. But any other big takeaways you have from this one?
No, I think there's a lot of negativity around this one, and I understand it because I don't think it was a very good performance. And one of the things this team does need to be able to do though is to still be able to find a way to win when they're not at their best. And
this was that.
Yeah. So I just let's focus on the fact that it was 3 points on the road. I think one of the big problems is like everyone basically again was like, we're gonna tie our shoes, walk on the pitch, and Miami's just gonna like let us score 7 goals. So I think we really talked about Miami as if they literally were like a bunch of like under 13 players like running around out there. They are also professional players. They also have a new coach who's trying some stuff. So yeah, this still is a win in a league where we've seen that there are wacky results every single weekend. So 3 points is 3 points. Unbeaten streak continues. Like let's keep the focus there because that's where I think the team should also be focusing.
Right. I think that this could pay big dividends going into the playoffs. And,
Yep.
we could be playing a team who's not at their best, but maybe we go out and beat them and, surprise somebody or you have an upset in the playoffs. But this is a good experience to know that even though you weren't at your best, you can still go out and take care of business. And like I said, at such a young stage and learning curve with this club, there's nothing more you can really ask for.
Yeah, and I've said it almost every single week. Like, it's not even just the club is brand new and this team has only played together for a few months. This is Kano's first head coaching job. We've seen it every single week. He's adding stuff to his I don't know, his golf bag. I don't know where I was going with that metaphor, but he's like learning as he's going to. I think he's making a lot of great adjustments. I know I had some criticisms of some of the things he's doing, but there's also clear evolution going on within this team. So credit there. And yes, this wasn't the beautiful 5-0 that half of the Discord predicted, but it was a win, and that's what matters.
That's it. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Next up is a trip to Birmingham on Wednesday, 8 p.m. kickoff as we take on the Birmingham Legion. I'll be doing a preview with the Hammering Down podcast in roughly a little bit over an hour right now. So make sure you tune back in. If you're not subscribed and you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. You can turn notifications on. We like to do every show live so you can check it out. So it'll be a little bit interesting. Scott saying Copa is delayed by 30 minutes, I think. I'll probably have it on in the TV above me watching as well as we go. But really excited to get this preview. This isn't going to be an easy one, especially coming on a short rest and being back on the road. Birmingham currently is, I think just dipped away on me. Birmingham is currently in 5th place. They have 27 points. They have won 3 of their last 5, 2 losses in between. They had a nice come from behind victory last time out against the Switchbacks. So not going to be a tough one. They have almost a very similar goal tally to us, though, just 4 more than us. So I think this is going to be a battle, a defensive battle in this, and I think this could very well be a set piece talk. So I'm interested to get the Birmingham Pod's take on this one and see how this goes.
Well, this one's interesting too. This is like the Kano derby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking at the standings as well. RIFC is like the top of the form table right now.
Right. Looking at
Beautiful.
that.
Look at us, guys. Look at us.
We are creeping.
Remember the 47 episodes in a row we did that were just like, man, we lost here, we tied.
Peaking at the right time for this one. So we'll definitely get it going there. But any final thoughts, Ryan? Anything else you want to get off before we sign off?
No, I'm excited. I mean, yeah, just again, hopefully the team can keep this momentum going. Yeah, super excited. Obviously they're on the road this week, but getting back to the Burn Stadium in front of our fans, and obviously people are already turning their eyes towards the derby on the 10th. So a lot of really great stuff to come. This club just keeps building. Momentum is flowing. The state of Rhode Island's just getting hot. I love it.
That's it. And it is hot. It's going to be a hot week too. So,
yeah. I meant that figuratively and literally.
I found it absolutely crazy. Most places I went to, I just got back from Maine, a little earlier this week, and there was like not a lot of air conditioning up there, and it drove me nuts. It was hot. Like
Very
it went
European
from
of them.
hot to hot, and I'm just glad to have my my air cranking. So just a reminder, about an hour away, tune back in for the away end. We'll do a double drop, and if you tune into that one first by accident, go back, watch this one first, then do the preview so you can get all of that going forward. But thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. We definitely appreciate you. I can't wait to get back to a home match. Like I said, I'm gonna try to make Wednesday's watch party, but we'll see how kids go being on school break, and my wife and I both teaching what our sanity levels look like is a little later. So we'll see what happens there. As our guy Natesky says, love the show, up the tide, RIFC. So that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, actually, no, one more thing. I'm sorry, I wanted to add out there. You mentioned it beforehand and totally forgot it. If you have not already, go click that $10 per ticket link for the Hartford match. I think I'm bringing like most of my whole family as well. I think Zach's going to be one of the walkout boys for that one too. So pretty excited through his youth soccer organization. So very excited about that one. So I think my parents are coming. My wife's parents are coming. So I think we'll have a big tailgate as well. But go out there. A good way to get more people involved in this team is bringing them to a game. Why not bring them to the Hartford game? Why not help pack it out? Get the fire going, get that rivalry going, and really get people hooked. So I think that's a really good initiative by the club. We'll tweet that out and share that link out on all of our socials if you can't find it. But buy some tickets for people. It's $10, whatever. Make them buy the parking pass. It's a fair trade-off. But That's that. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, and for Ryan, thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Tide.
Up the Tide.